Welcome to Your Success Podcast. My name is Jasmine Grabowski and I'm a regional facilitator for Workforce Solutions. Today's podcast topic is the power of networking.
And Jasmine, that's such a great topic. And my name is William McQueen and I'm a career navigator at Workforce Solutions. And we're going to get into it. And we went through some things and I want Jasmine to share what things we did to prepare you guys for this video.
Yes, so what we've done is come up with some questions and also some best practices to highlight the effectiveness of networking.
Awesome. And so guys, we're hoping to create some value for this video. And if you do see that, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so we can keep the information going, help folks know what we're into, and hopefully we'll be able to help you with the podcast and with the video we're sharing today. And so we're going to go and jump into it. And we want to know, I want to know, hopefully our audience wants to know. And Jasmine, the question is, what is networking?
Absolutely. So networking for me is making connections, building relationships, and also showing gratitude to those individuals who helped you along the way.
Awesome. That's a great way to define it, especially the gratitude part. And we'll dig down to some of these things a little bit deeper as we go along. You have a question for me, Jasmine?
Yeah, I do have a question for you. So have you ever received a direct job based on networking? Have you gotten any job offers?
Yeah, this is a great question. And really, with networking being such an important tool, I think it's fair to share for me is part of my other career path as a musician. And so networking is such a big part of that. People have to know who you are. People have to know what your skills are. And for me, a story for me is a bass player that played at our church, and he was on the music team for a few years. And he had moved on since, and he came across an opportunity to where we were going to do a little bit of traveling and being able to have some really nice musical situations. And he thought of me, and that was a great thing because we had formed a relationship, and that was the networking, that creating that relationship to where if there's something that came across to where I was a good fit for, I was able to benefit from that. So that's a great example of how networking and being able to use that skill has helped me out. So absolutely. I'm going to ask you, Jasmine, what is a good example of network and how it's turned out good for you?
So networking has turned out good for me because actually when I got hired with Workforce Solutions, one of the employment counselors told me about the website to go to because he just saw me, to continue coming in and out of the office, and he decided to help me out. And so it's really a reciprocity type of relationship. So
awesome.
Absolutely.
And I like the reciprocity because it's not a one-way street, guys. We're talking about forming authentic relationships, and out of the authenticity of those relationships, you get things like opportunities, you get things like friendships, of course, and you get things like, lifelong benefits to your working career, lifelong benefits to your relationship. So it's a great thing to invest your time in. And so, do we have any more questions to cover, Jasmine?
Well, I do have one more question. Why do you think it's so important to maintain those positive connections?
Awesome. That's a great question. I think it's a great practice to do that. If we get the benefit of the networking, the action of networking, and we don't sow back into those relationships, then they just end up trailing off and dying at some point. And plus, I'd much rather have a long-term relationship and not feel like I'm using someone. And so it's important to maintain those positive connections. Reach out to them, text them. When you see something funny that they may love, go ahead and shoot that to them. If it's a meme, if it's a little Instagram reel or something like that, just staying in contact. You just never know. One thing we're going to talk about moving forward, we're going to talk about some of the best practices,
Yes, absolutely.
So we covered what networking is. We covered the benefits of networking, and we're going to finish up with things you can actually do to benefit from networking. And so Jasmine's going to share the first one, and we're going to go from there.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So what has worked for me is joining an alumni network with my university, which is Texas State. And so they actually have a job board that is shared on social media. And so I've actually used that to connect with some of my fellow alumni and just maintain those relationships with them.
Awesome. And guys, these are for folks who went to college, but that we know that's not everybody. And so what I'd say in response to that is, if you're not, in a pathway to where you're going to college, what I'd say is maybe look for possibilities to volunteer, right? Another thing maybe to do is join your local Toastmasters and being able to network with folks who may have some of the common interests. And that's a great way to get your name out there, in a situation to where you're serving folks, because you always want to add value. In most of those cases where you're adding value is where those opportunities come. So again, volunteering with your local nonprofits, being of service, and maybe joining some professional organizations such as Toastmasters as well. And so what's another best practice we can get into? What do you think?
Yeah, so another one for me is maintaining those positive relationships. So that employment counselor that helped me out, I actually still communicate with him every now and then on social media, just to let him know that I really appreciate him, that I am showing that gratitude, and just keeping those connections going for a lifetime.
Awesome. That's a great answer, and that's a great practice to actually enact. And so a couple things I want to share as far as my best practices. Number one is going to be a connector. What I mean by that, if you're the person who always brings folks together for a common good or for the betterment of the group, you're being a connector. You're providing value for both people involved. You're providing an opportunity for not only those folks who you're providing value to, but hopefully an opportunity for you down the line. So
Right.
you never know how that's going to work for you. So being a connector is going to be very important. And then the last one I want to follow up with is share your passion and know your passion. So know and share your passion. And in that sense, know what you're passionate about. Know what gets your juices flowing. And once you're able to do that, share that with as many people as possible. You just never know who those folks are looking for. They could be looking for someone who shares that passion. Maybe they're looking for someone to be on their team, or maybe they know a team that can use your services. So again, you knowing your passion and then you being able to share that is going to be beneficial for you as well. So thanks for hanging out with us on To Your Success podcast. Hope you got a lot of value out of this, and I hope you'll be able to take a lot of these things we talked about with networking and apply them to your life. And my name is William McQueen, and we have
Jasmine Grabowski, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.